All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking all about percents. And pretty much how to write percents as fractions and decimals. We're going to talk a little bit about proportions. And we're going to talk about rate of change. So, just to start out, let's go ahead and define what a percent is. So, a percent is a ratio whose denominator is 100. So, ratio where denominator equals 100. And the symbol we use for that is, it looks like that. That's the percent sign. So let's go ahead and talk about writing percents as fractions. So again, a percent is a ratio where the denominator is 100. So if we have 20%, then that is the same thing as 20 over 100. And then if we want to take that to decimal, since this is 100 here, it's got 2 zeros, so we're going to take our decimal and move it to the left 2 spaces. Again, we move it 2 spaces because 100 has 2 zeros, and it's in the denominator, so you go to the left. If you're multiplying, then you move it to the right. If you're dividing, you move to the left. So we go 1 space, 2 space, so that's going to be equal to 0.20. So we just went from a percent to a fraction to a decimal. Now again, this fraction could be reduced to 1/5, but again, those are similar fractions, so unless you're asked to reduce, you don't necessarily have to. So if we do another one of those, let's say we've got 36%. That's the same thing as 36 over 100. And to get that to a decimal, again, 2 zeros in the denominator, so we're going to take our decimal and move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2. So 0.36. All right, and it's really as simple as that. You just do that every single time. Now, if you want to go the other direction, so say you've got a decimal, and we're going to go back to a fraction. Well, you can just go straight from decimal to a percent, and then a fraction to a percent. So say we've got 0.371. To get it to a percent, you times your decimal by 100. So 2 zeros, and you're multiplying, so you move your decimal 2 places to the right, 1, 2. So that's going to be equal to 37.1%. Now, if you have a fraction and you want to get to a percent, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, not by much. So you're going to go, let's say we've got, what do we want? 4/11ths. And we want to change that to a percent. All you're going to do is you're going to change it first to a decimal and then go to your percent. So to get that to a decimal, all you're going to do is perform your division on it. So that's going to be 0.3 is going to be 33. You're going to be left with 7. Bring down your 0. That'll be 6. Should be 66. You'll be left with 4. You bring down another 0. So 0.363. And then you can change that to a percent by moving your decimal place 2 places over. So that's going to be 36.3%. So really not that much more difficult. You can go back and forth as much as you want. Another thing that you might be asked to do is to find a certain percent of some value. So if you're asked, let's see, what percent of 90 is 45? You're going to go ahead and use this equation right here. A over B equals P over 100, where A equals the portion of your base, B equals your base, and P over 100 equals your percent. So, for example, portion of your base, and what is your base? So your base is what you're taking your percentage of. So in this case, you want to know your percent of 90. So 90 is going to be your base, which leaves 45 as your portion of your base. So you can just go ahead and fill these in. So 45 over 90 equals P over 100. Use your cross product and solve for P. So 45 times 100 equals 90p. So P is going to equal 45 times 100 all over 90. You can go ahead and run the math on that. And you get that P equals 50. So 45 is 50% of 90. Now, another way this might be worded is what number is 20% of 90? So again, of 90, so that's going to be your base. You have your percent and you're trying to find your portion. So the first thing I like to do when I'm looking at these is try to identify these. So we identified this is our portion, this is our base, and this is our percentage. So A over B equals P over 100. So we don't know A, so we'll leave it as A. B is 90. P is 20 over 100. So then you just cross multiply. So 100A equals 90 times 20. Divide both sides by 100. And you'll get that A equals 18. So 18 is 20% of 90. And then finally, the last way one of these might be worded is you'll be given 90 is 20% of what number? Again, of some number is going to be your base. This is your percentage. And so then this is going to be your portion. So A over B equals P over 100. And so 100A equals BP. And in this case, we need to solve for B. So we're going to divide by P. So B is going to equal 100A over P. So 100A is 90, P is 20. So you can calculate that now. So that is 180,000. All right, so that's really as complicated as those things get, not too terrible. All right, so now let's talk about percent change. So this is going to be the percent that two values change based on each other. So you're going to have an original value and you're going to have a new value. And you want to know the percent that it changes from the original to the new. Now, you can have a percent increase or a percent decrease. Now, your percent increase is going to be positive, decrease is going to be negative. Now, you find this percent change by taking your new amount minus your original all over the original. And if this comes out positive, you have a percent increase. If it comes out negative, you have a percent decrease. So if we have an original value of 20 and our new value is 14, we're just going to go ahead and plug it into this equation. So 14 minus 20 all over 20. So it's going to be equal to 6 over 20, which is equal to 3 over 10. Which is equal to 0.3. So this is our decimal version of our percent change. So we've got to times that by 100. So we move our decimal place 1, 2 places over. So we're going to have a negative 30%. Now it came out negative, so we're going to have 30% decrease. Now, if our original was 20 and our new was 30, again, you just plug it into that equation. So new 30 minus original all over original. We're going to end up with a positive 10 over 20, which is equal to 1/2, which is equal to 0.5. So 1, 2. So it's going to be equal to 50%, and it's positive. So it's going to be a 50% increase. All right, so that's all you really need to know about percent of change. If you have any further questions, head over to our tutoring page, and I'll be able to sit down with you and answer those and go through one of these with you.